Today is day 8 for Unit 3. We're looking at shortages, surpluses, and equilibrium. And you can see the schedule for today. This is what the do now should look like. I used an interval of 3, but depending on what you use, your graph will look more or less the same. Our big question for today, what is the right price and quantity? And we want to find equilibrium price and quantity and then explain how a shortage and a surplus are fixed. Both of these standards will be assessed next Thursday, April 12th, and we'll have key terms quiz number 7 this Friday. I've also posted the 4.0 options on Schoology. These are the 3 key terms. These are your new key terms for our quiz on Friday. What we're looking at today can be found in Chapter 6, Sections 1, 2, and 3, and it deals with prices. What is the right price? So to think about prices, let's draw upon what we've learned already about market and command economies. And in a free market economy, buyers and sellers, consumers and producers working together to negotiate and to figure out what the right price is. But in a command economy, it's the government that sets prices. So we're going to be focusing on buyers and sellers because we live in a market economy. So to start with equilibrium price and quantity, the formal definition is the price and quantity at which the amount demanded equals the amount supplied. So Q sub D equals Q sub S. So basically, wherever those lines intersect, that is your equilibrium point. And we can find this on our do now. If we look at where the lines intersect, we can label that as our equilibrium point. You should also be able to find it on the table where quantity demanded equals quantity supplied. Then we have a shortage, and the formal definition is the quantity supplied is less than the quantity demanded at a specific price. So Q sub S is less than Q sub D. You could also say Q sub D is greater than Q sub S. And we can see that with this example, in that we have at a price of $30, we are supplying 200, but at $30 the demand is 600, and so 200 is less than 600. So our question is, how do we fix this? How do we correct this? How do we get this to equilibrium? Well, if you remember what we have done before, if we have movement up the curve, it's basic, we would then approach the equilibrium point, and so we do that when we raise the price. And so fixing shortages we fix shortages by increasing prices, and that creates movement on the curves. And you can see this with on your do now. If haircuts sell for about $5, we're going to have a quantity supplied of about 3, but the demand is going to be about 27. And so in this case, 27 is greater than 3, and so we're going to have a shortage. And how do we fix that shortage? We have to increase the price. Surplus, that's our last key term, and that's when quantity supplied is greater than the quantity demanded at a specific price. So Q sub S is greater than Q sub D. So this is just the opposite of a shortage. And we fix surpluses by decreasing the prices, and that creates movement down the curve. So if the price is at P1, nobody wants to buy it, and so we've got to decrease the prices, and we have to increase demand here. And so P1 to P2, we have to decrease our prices. And we can see this on our do now. Haircuts sell for $20. The quantity demanded would be about 12, quantity supplied would be about 24, and so in this case 24 is greater than 12, so we have a surplus. We fix the surplus by decreasing our prices. And one last thing you can do is basically any point above equilibrium is going to be a surplus. Any point below equilibrium is going to be a shortage. And then we can also label that equilibrium point. I'm just going to write E sub Q. And your do now might look something like this from one of your classmates. There you go. So you should have something like this. So it's easy to study from. You've got your supply and demand curves, you've got the point where they intersect, which is equilibrium, you've got your surplus and your shortages. The last thing that you can do is to, again on your do now, go to the table up on the top, and let's say that we extend it, and we create 2 new columns. And then let's label this first column, let's label that shortage, surplus, equilibrium. Let's write EQ. And the last column, write amount. And so if we look at the cost of $5, of a haircut for $5, the supply is only 3, the demand is 27. And so in that case, we're going to see that we have a shortage. And the amount would be 24. We're 24 short. At $10, we continue to have a shortage of 12. At price of 15, demand and supply are equal, and so we're going to call that equilibrium. And we don't have any amount. At a price of $20, we have supply greater than demand, so we have a surplus. And we have 12 extra. And at a price of $25, we also have a surplus, because more is supplied than demanded, of 27. So there you go. So you should be able to find equilibrium price and quantity, and then explain how shortage and surpluses are fixed. And the homework for today is a practice worksheet. Students were able to finish that in class. Study your key terms. All handouts, everything is available on Schoology.